Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Nicolette Hodge. Welcome to We Reflect the Light. Sisters and brothers, there is about to be a dramatic change to your day-to-day life, your day-to-day routine. America will not win this war. Iran is going to win this war. The unsealed scriptures tells us exactly how this war is going to turn out, who's involved, who's aligned on each side. And it's not looking good for America, sisters and brothers. And it's not going to get better. It's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Iran is not letting up. And this is exactly what America, this is the situation that they have put themselves in for being the terrorist that they are. So now they're just receiving the consequence of their actions. And the consequence is not letting up, sisters and brothers. There's no escaping consequence. So any day, any moment, things will change permanently. Now we're going to start off with the book of Exodus. And this verse identifies that how these devils are thinking about us. And so it's revealing their innermost thoughts. And it's telling us what their plans are against us and what they're afraid of. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them. So they're dealing with us in such a way that they're doing it right in front of our face, but we're not identifying it because they're tricking us. So they're being deceitful. Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply. And if a war breaks out, they join our enemies and fight against us and escape from the land. So it's two things they don't want us doing. They don't want us multiplying. That's why they're dealing with us shrewdly, and they don't want us to escape from the land. What land? The land that we're being held captive in, which is America. America's not our land. We have been held captive here for 400 plus years. This is not our home. This is not where we are from. So they don't want us to multiply, and they don't want us to leave the country. That tells you a lot of information right there. If we leave the country, if we escape, first of all, escape, that means that they're holding us hostage. All right? And if we leave this land, that means we have a land to go to. So we already have a home. They don't want us leaving the land of our imprisonment and going home to our own land. They don't want us multiplying. So they put something in place to prevent us from multiplying as well. We'll get into that next. And they fear that if a war breaks out, we'll join onto America's enemies, fight against America, and leave. Well, that means that America has done something to us that we would want to fight against them about. So they are also, you see, it's telling us the psychology behind why they're doing what they're doing. Why would they fear us fighting against them and leaving the country if they haven't done anything wrong to us and we belong here in this land? So this is letting us know these devils are guilty. Now, what are they guilty of? We'll get into all the details of that here shortly. So let's keep moving. We're going to deal with the first situation of, come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply. So let's talk about how it is that they're trying to, or that they have been going into action for the last 400 plus years to prevent us from multiplying. What did they do? How did they come at us with that? Let's keep moving. The original black woman. warrior queens. We have suffered 400 plus years of being relentlessly raped by these devils. They raped us. It wasn't an interracial relationship like they tried to show you on the television with slavery, what have you. Understand that that is not us that they're showing you. That's their house Negroes. Those are their children that were produced from the relentless rape of the original black woman. So, excuse me, sisters and brothers. Excuse me, sisters and brothers. So, they raped us. It was not consensual. So, understand that. We did not willingly lay down with these devils. We did not desire any intimate relations with them whatsoever. They forced themselves on us. They took something that does not belong to them by forcing their seed in our wombs and using our wombs to further their agenda. And we'll break down what their agenda is here shortly. So, they stripped us naked. Our experience is not called slavery, it's called the Holocaust. Because we endured horror, terror, physical and psychological torture around the clock for 400 plus years. So, they raped us and raped us and raped us non-stop. And again, just the mere fact that they raped us lets you know that we did not willingly lay down with them. We were forced. They forced themselves on us. Why did they do that? They call us animals. They themselves know that a human and an animal cannot reproduce. So that claim of us being animals is totally unsubstantiated. They have us classified as animals through the U.S. Constitution with the 3/5 human clause. Again, they themselves know that we are not truly animals. Otherwise, let me say it like this. They know that a human and an animal cannot produce a child. So even with them calling us animals and them raping us nonstop, isn't that bestiality? So no matter what they try to say about us, they're always going to come up stinking as the weak and wicked beasts that they are, because there's no way that they can justify the horror that they inflicted on us. It was literally unjust. I'm not talking about the slavery part. I'm talking about the horror, the affliction that we endured. They cut us open without any anesthesia. They experimented on us. And these devils went to war against our seed while we were in the fields. They went to war against the true seed of Abraham. It is a scientific biological fact that the father carries the seed. Therefore, the father determines the bloodline and the nature of that child. You are the seed of your father. No exceptions. This is a scientific biological fact, and they know that. Now they try to deceive us with this one drop of black blood makes you black. However, the black skin color does not identify the bloodline. So that's just some more noise to confuse you about basic biology, which they know very well, sisters and brothers. So why were they raping us around the clock? Why were they raping us so much? What was their end goal? What's their agenda? What's the backstory? What's the backstory behind them raping us nonstop. Let's keep moving. This is a parable in the book of Matthew of the wheat and the tares. Tares is also known as chaff. All right? Chaff and wheat look alike. So let's keep moving. Another parable he put forth to them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. He sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. But when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares? He said to them, An enemy has done this. The servants said to him, Do you want us then to go gather them up? But he said, No, lest while you gather up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, First, gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. All right, so this parable, it says a man, all right, and a man who sowed good seed. It didn't say that he planted seed. So we know that this is not literally talking about a gardening situation. This is not an agricultural situation. This is identifying a biological situation. And because only a man can sow his seed. And it said a man sowed good seed in his field. So this is identifying a reproduction. Like I said, it's a biological situation. It's identifying a reproduction situation in which a man sowed good seed in his field. So he impregnated his woman with his seed. And man is the original black man. And his seed is of the same bloodline as him. And the original black man is the true seed of Abraham. So let's make that clear. So he sowed his seed in his original black woman. It's his field. So that is how it's supposed to be done. We don't have any problems with that. That is great. That's good. All right. But while men slept, so while he was sleeping, so this tells us this is a layer of deception right there, because while he slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. Now, this man that sowed good seed in his field, the wheat, we know that the wheat is the original black man and original black woman. So the wheat identifies a nation of people, which is the original nation. And while men was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed tares. See, they said they're dealing shrewdly with us. So this is part of him, these devils dealing shrewdly with us. They did this while we were sleeping, which identifies a state of situation that we were in. We're in because of energy deprivation, and I have explained it before, and we'll get into that at another time. However, to stay on topic, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. So the enemy came and he sowed his seed as well. And after he sowed his seed, he sowed tares among the wheat, and he went his way. And when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So this is identifying these devils coming and sowing their seed, their tares, amongst the wheat. And the wheat is the original black man and black woman. So the womb is the original black woman's womb. And they put their seed, they sowed their seed in the womb of the original black woman while we were in the fields, all throughout the 400 years that we have been being held captive right here in America. So why did he wait until man was asleep to come do it? They're dealing with us shrewdly, trying to trick us, because wheat and tares look just alike. So they produced, by raping us, they made us give birth to an entire nation of devils, because that's the seed that they come from. The seed of the enemy, which the enemy is the Caucasian man. And what came out of that, what was produced from that, is something that looks just like the wheat. However, a different bloodline, a different nature, a different seed. So now we have these two different groups of people amongst each other that look just alike. They got the same skin tone. They have the same appearance. However, they are two different seeds, two different bloodlines. And one is the bloodline, is the seed of the enemy, and the other one is the seed of man. So when the grain had sprouted and produced a crop, then the tares also appeared. So the servants of the owner came and said to him, "Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? How then does it have tares?" He said to them, "An enemy has done this." So that right there identifies that even though these devils are dealing with us shrewdly, they're not going unnoticed. They're not getting away with anything. These devils have been identified, and their plans are broadcasted all throughout the unsealed scriptures. All of their plans against us and what they have been doing to us and are doing to us and what they have in place for us, all of that is exposed and revealed in the unsealed scriptures. And so he said to them, "An enemy has done this." The servant said to him, "Do you want us to go and gather them up?" But he said, "No, lest while you gather up the tares, you also uproot the wheat with them." So this separation between these two groups of people, the original black man and woman, and the demons, which means half devil, half man, half devil from the bloodline and the seed of their devil father. However, they have the skin tone of the original black woman. And the original nation is called men in the unsealed scriptures. The devils are not referred to as men. As you see in this verse, they're called the enemy, which they are. Also beast. So the whole thing is these two groups of people cannot be separated prematurely, otherwise it will hurt the wheat, which is the original black man and original black woman. So let both grow together unto the harvest, and at the time of the harvest I will say to the reapers, first gather together the tares and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. So the bottom line is that the separation has to happen at a specific time period. It cannot happen prematurely, otherwise it will hurt. This separation will hurt the wheat. Now, all throughout, other parts of scriptures, we're told that our people don't know their right hand from their left hand, meaning that they're unable to identify the demons because they look like us, they walk like us. You may think they talk like us. However, if you pay attention to what they're saying, they're wolves in sheep's clothing, so they're howling just like the rest of the wolves are. They're screaming for reparations. They love Massa. They don't want you speaking against Massa. They love this reality. Now, granted, some of our own sisters and brothers, which is the situation with our entire nation, we're acting other than ourselves because we've been told to submit. And part of that submission is you have to submit to the one that's in rulership. And these devils were given a certain time period to be in rulership, and we submitted to them. So in us submitting, of course, we're not going to be acting according to our nature. We're going to be acting according to the nature of those who are ruling us. So you're not sinful, sisters and brothers. You haven't done anything wrong. Sisters, not here to critique you. Just bringing to your attention what is taking place. Letting you know our history, highlighting the sacrifice and the charity that you made to our nation, letting you know that you have a vision, you have a home, and that we're getting up out of here. So this is not to critique you in any form or fashion, sisters. All right? So these two groups of people cannot be separated into a certain time, which is called the harvest. Because there is a special skill set, a special knowledge of how to identify the chaff from the wheat, how to identify the demons from the original black man and original black woman. So this is not something that, you just run into trying to point this out, or who's a demon and who may be original, and you can be hurting one of our fellow sisters and brothers. So it has to be done at a very specific time period. So that's clear. However, the bottom line is why that I'm identifying is, why did these devils do this? Why did they go into our wombs and camouflage themselves like that? What is the backstory? What's the end goal for them? What is that? What were they looking to accomplish by doing that? Because they have literally gone into motion to steal our identity on every level imaginable, to the point of making themselves a hybrid nation looking just like us, but a different bloodline and DNA altogether. So why did they stole our appearance, if you will? Why did they steal our appearance? Why did they take on our appearance? What's that all about? So let's keep moving. All right. In order to understand why they did that, sisters and brothers, let's make sure this is clear. Who is the true seed of Abraham? All right. False Israel claims that they are the true seed of Abraham. They don't have any proof. They don't have any scriptural proof that validates their claim to be the true seed of Abraham. And the scriptures is clear about who the true seed of Abraham is. The true seed of Abraham has a very unique history. So why is it that they cannot prove what they claim to be when this is something that is extremely clear, crystal clear? And this is a simple question to answer just by looking at the history of Abraham's seed. So let's keep moving. The Holocaust is our true experience. It's not called slavery. Slavery does not include being raped around the clock. Slavery does not include having our babies snatched off of our bosoms and thrown to the alligators, as they used our babies to go hunting, feeding our babies to alligators around the clock. That is not a part of slavery. Slavery is working someone without paying them. Maximum profit, minimum overhead. Getting the maximum amount of labor out of someone and giving them just enough minimum overhead to keep them alive so that they can keep producing that free labor. That does not include horror, does not include being terrorized, it does not include being raped and sodomized 24/7. That's something different. So the Holocaust is the correct term that identifies our full experience right here in America. Anything less than this word right here, such as slavery, slavery is only 1%. Anything less than this is a lie and a deceit to confuse you and prevent you from knowing what was done to the original nation at the hands of America, Britain, and false Israel. How do we know? How can we identify who Abraham's seed is? This is the history of Abraham's seed, which is identified in the book of Genesis, chapter 15. When the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, a horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be sojourners. Sojourn means temporary, sisters and brothers, in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. Who on the planet fits this description, sisters and brothers? Not false Israel. Not any of these devils, period. The only ones who fit this description is the original black man and original black woman who's right here in North America. Now, something that's very subtle is the fact that Abram is called Abram right here in this scripture. It's the only place in the Bible where he's called Abram, not Abraham. Now, by these devils' own admission, they say that we are Ham and that we are cursed black and to be slaves forever and ever and ever. So by their own admission, we are Ham. Now, they don't understand what that scripture is fully saying. However, we are Ham, and they have admitted that we're Ham. So, the fact that Abram is called Abram right here instead of Abraham identifies that he would be temporarily separated from his seed during this time period. So, based on these devils, on their own admission that we're Ham, they have themselves also admitted that we are the true seed of Abraham. Because Abram is separated from his seed. That's why he's called Abram right now. So they're dealing with us shrewdly, but they're not wise. They don't have a full perspective of what's going on. They're blind. So they're looking at it, understand that these are two-dimensional people that we're dealing with, two-dimensional beings. They're seeing things on a two-dimensional plane, and we are three-dimensional. So they cannot see above their own level. And this is due to their DNA, their limited DNA. They are a stripped down version of us, totally stripped down. Their seed and their bloodline is totally different. The Supreme Wisdom Lessons identifies how it is that we made the Caucasian white man. How we separated that brown germ and the black germ, and we took the brown germ and stripped it all the way down until it turned white. So they are, right there by definition, they are weak and wicked. So they don't understand with the scriptures. They don't have a full, let me say it like this, they don't have a full understanding of what the scriptures are saying. So in their limited understanding, and they have made the admission, because remember, their whole way that they have viewed us and have been treating us has been based off of their understanding of the sealed Bible, which the Bible has been unsealed. The veil has been lifted by the breaker of the seven seals, the messenger of the covenant, Daniel the prophet. So their entire dealings with us has been based off of the sealed Bible. So they don't have that full 360 understanding or view of what it is that the scriptures are truly saying. They only have bits and pieces. And the bits and pieces that they have, I'm going to leave that there. Leave that there, sisters and brothers. So by their own admission, we are the true seed of Abraham, because they're calling us Ham. They don't even realize that Abram is separated from Ham in this verse. He's separated from his seed during this time period. So they have already admitted that we are the true seed of Abraham. So they walked right into it, sisters and brothers. They walked right into it. They've already admitted who we are. They know exactly who we are. Let me make this clear as well. Because we're told in the Quran, and I'm paraphrasing, that God taught Adam our names. They knew exactly what tribe they were taking out of Africa, abducting and enslaving and afflicting. They know exactly who we are. It's sure that God taught Adam our names. I'm paraphrasing. So to teach somebody your name, to teach someone your name is you're telling them all about you, exactly who you are. So they knew who they were dealing with. They were told, do not touch that tree, and that's exactly what they did. So in order to understand why it is that they were raping us so much, camouflaging themselves, still in our appearance, looking just like us, with a different bloodline, a different nature, a different seed, what is it that they were trying to accomplish by being a wolf and putting on the sheep's clothing? Why not just walk around and be wolves? Why did they have to put on the sheep's clothing like that? Why did they have to take on that? Or they didn't have to. Why did they take on our appearance? That's what I'm getting to. However, in order to understand that, you have to fully understand the fact that we weren't just enslaved, we were also afflicted. The affliction lasted for 400 years. How do we know the 400-year timeline? How can we verify that? 1619 to 2019. How do we know that's true? 2020 came with a plague, COVID-19. Dropping these devils like flies assured that it would kill off the firstborn and the elderly while passing over those with the blood of the Lamb. Okay? If you have the blood of the Lamb, it means you have the same bloodline, the same DNA as the Lamb himself, and he is the true seed of Abraham. So COVID-19 passed over all of those who had original DNA. So the sisters and brothers in Africa, Haiti, these different areas where there are original black people, COVID-19 passed over. Right here in America, COVID-19 passed over the original nation. However, it did not pass over the devils. It did not pass over the devils in black skin either, which is how they confused a lot of our people, saying that COVID was killing black people. Yeah, it might have been killing black people, but it wasn't killing the original black man and original black woman. Again, you cannot take skin color as a way to identify someone's bloodline. So COVID-19 did kill black people, but they were not original black people. They're Caucasians in black skin because they have that same Caucasian DNA. So they put that jab on us. They started trying to scare us with the jab, telling us we need to take that. And again, our DNA is our protection. So COVID-19 did not affect us. And we were on post, reflecting the light from the messenger of the covenant, Daniel the prophet, all throughout 2020, 2021, all throughout this jab mandate, letting you know, do not be fearful. Don't take the jab. You don't have nothing to worry about. Your DNA is your protection. This plague is passing over us. Farrakhan didn't tell you that. Farrakhan did not warn you and let you know that the 400-year time period is up and that there's a plague coming and that you have nothing to worry about. He did not inform you of that. So he claims he's the watchman. The watchman is supposed to warn the people. Farrakhan hasn't done that. He's blind. He is a devil in black skin himself. His father is a Caucasian Portuguese Jew that raped his black mother and forced her to give birth to his devil seed. So again, understand that they are wolves in sheep's clothing, appearing as sheep. However, the DNA and the bloodline of the wolves. Wolves. The house Negroes were put over us as taskmasters, role models, overseers, keeping us in check, keeping us in submission to these devils. All right? And going back and telling the devils what we were planning. So they were like a bridge between the field Negroes and Massa. And because the field Negroes, over time, at first we did understand. We understood exactly what these devils were doing by trying to rape our seed out of existence. And that's what's so monumental about the original black woman. While we were in the fields, taking care of their agricultural needs, producing their food, keeping them fed, tending to their cattle, building their mansions, they were forcing us to produce our hidden enemy. However, the original black woman made a very heavy sacrifice, a sacrifice that will never be forgotten. We carried the original nation on our backs, giving charity in a time where we barely had enough energy to keep ourselves alive, barely had enough energy to wake up the next day. And these devils did not allow us to procreate, did not allow us to reproduce. They did not allow us to multiply. So we had to sneak and multiply. We had to sneak and reproduce. And we did all of the things that it takes to stabilize Abraham's seed and keep Abraham's seed in existence to this very day. There are 34 million blacks in America. Massa's goal was for all 34 million blacks to be demons. Massa was not successful because we stood up for our nation in a time of need and did exactly what needed to be done. And out of 34 million blacks in America, half of the blacks are original. The other half are demons. So half is wheat, the original nation, and the other half is chaff, the demons. Massa's goal was for all the blacks to be 100% chaff. We wasn't having it, and we're still not having it to this day. So if it wasn't for the original black woman, there would be no one to receive the reward, the inheritance that is given to Abraham's seed for enduring the 400 years of enslavement and affliction. So that moves on. What is the inheritance? What is the covenant? What is so special about the original black man and original black woman that these devils took on our appearance? What's so special about us? What is it that we have that they want is the question. What do we have that they want from us? So I identified our history. It shares 400 years. We know that 400 years lasted from 1619 to 2019. 2020 came in with the judgment, came in with the plague. They have much more coming. They're in the judgment right now, sisters and brothers, and it's not letting up, getting more and more intense every day, all the way down to their destruction. It shares, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. We're coming out. But thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Go where? To thy fathers. Where is our father? Our father Abram is not from America. Thou shalt be buried in a good old age. And in the fourth generation, we're in the fourth generation right now, they shall come hither. Hither means return again. For the iniquity of the Amorite is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a flaming torch that passed between these pieces. So back to the Holocaust, identifying the affliction that they put us through. This Jesus lie was also a part of that affliction. They tortured us with this lie. The name Jesus is nowhere in the original manuscript. It's a made-up word. It's a myth, part of Greek mythology. That's what it comes out of. So they tortured us with this Jesus lie and told us that if we don't believe in Jesus, that we were going to die and go to hell and burn forever and ever and ever. Putting this sense of conviction and fear specifically into the original black woman's mind. Freezing us up in fear where we're scared to ask any questions or question at all. Somehow they convinced us that there was something beneath the earth, some devil with a pitchfork that's just going to terrorize us forever while we're burning up in hell. And they convinced us that that was real. When in reality, the devils are right in front of us, torturing us, raping our babies, raping our men, sodomizing them, crossing all boundaries. So we are in hell, face to face with these devils for the last 400 years, and somehow they convinced us that there was a devil worse than them. Because they weren't calling themselves devils. Or they convinced us that there's a devil, this mythical, this monster, when the monsters were right in front of us the whole time. So they made what we saw, what we were dealing with, they made it like a fairy tale, putting us in fear. Then told us even if we do go to heaven, we'll be slaves forever and ever and ever. And gave us this picture of a devil in a dress. Jesus looks just like Massa, don't he? So this is just another tactic that the devils use dealing with us shrewdly. Because they did this right in front of our face. However, they tricked us, dealing with us shrewdly, putting us through psychological torture to further their agenda, to prevent us from ever connecting the dots, asking questions, realizing who we are, and the fact that we have somewhere to go, that we have a home to return to, that we have a covenant. They lied. They told us that Jesus is real, and it's not. Jesus is fake. He doesn't exist. So that destroys the whole religion of Christianity right there. They did not see the word that's in the original manuscripts is Joshua the Messiah. They didn't tell us about Joshua the Messiah. Joshua the Messiah has a physical description. Skin like fine copper. Some translations say burnished bronze. He's a dark-skinned, original black man with hair like lamb's wool. So nappy hair, and it says his hair is white. So Joshua the Messiah has a physical description. He also has a mission. He's also the messenger of the Abrahamic covenant. The messenger of the covenant. They didn't tell us about this in the fields. They're not telling us about it now. Joshua the Messiah is the one that leads us home to the promised land. They could not tell us about Joshua the Messiah because that right there is empowering. They couldn't have us looking forward to nothing of that sort. You understand me? They couldn't even let us get an inkling of the reality of who we are, where we're going, and who it is that we're to be looking for. So the messenger of the covenant, whom you seek. They couldn't have us seeking the messenger of the covenant while we're in the field, supposed to be doing everything that they say and thinking exactly how they want us to think. Our mind couldn't be even exploring the fact that we're getting up out of here. So instead of telling us about Joshua the Messiah, which is the name that's in the original manuscripts, they gave us this made-up character. If there was no threat of going to hell, then none of our people would be in the churches right now. So you're in the church because you're scared, because you're fearful, because you don't want to go to hell. And our sisters have really taken it hard. Because now our sisters are in the churches trying to save their whole family, when it's all an illusion. It's all a lie from start to finish. So again, back to the question, what is it that we have that they want from us to the point that they are willing to go as far as taking on our physical appearance? What is it that is due to us? Let's keep moving. This is the Abrahamic covenant. On that day, God made a covenant with Abram, saying, "Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." So, Abram, our father, Abram and his seed, and that day God made a covenant with Abram, saying, "Unto thy seed have I given this land." So Abram's seed is given land. Cannot be America, because we were already told in the verses right before this that we are sojourners in a land that is not ours. So Abram's seed is given a land. Now, what land is that? We don't have to guess. We don't have to speculate. The scriptures tells us exactly where our land is. "Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates." The land that's in between those two rivers is Arabia. So we are given our own land, which is Arabia. And this is more than a promise. This is God's sure and volatile word, and word is bond. And the Abrahamic covenant is in the process of being fulfilled as we speak. Part of the fulfillment of the Abrahamic covenant is you getting this message, sisters and brothers, that you have a covenant. This is our vision for us to unite under. One common vision. A people without a vision perish. They have done everything they can to destroy our vision. So this is what we have that they want. They want our covenant. False Israel claims that they are the seed of Abraham. They claim that the Abrahamic covenant has been fulfilled. Let's see if you can see my mouse. You see my mouse right here? This is where false Israel is. Right up here in Jerusalem, Palestine. You see this little white mouse moving in circles? It says that Abraham's seed, we get Arabia. Arabia is our promised land. They claim they're us, however, they're not in the promised land. They're over in Jerusalem. Over in a land, so let's look at it. They're claiming to be someone that they're not. They're in a land that they should not be in, while abominably destroying the Palestinians, bombing women and children, putting them through genocide, starving them to death, blowing up schools and hospitals. They're not in Arabia. They're right here in Jerusalem. We're told that when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, you will know that her desolation is near. Who's controlling Jerusalem? False Israel. We are told that once we are placed back in our land, we will never be uprooted again and we'll be at peace. However, scriptures clearly tells us that false Israel is going to be destroyed. So understand that their end goal, their agenda, their goal was to confuse Joshua the Messiah. When he shows up to fulfill the Abrahamic covenant, he would think that the chaff is really the wheat. He would think that the devils in black skin is really the seed of Abraham, when they are not. They are the seed of the devil. So they were raping us nonstop so that they could deceive the Messiah when the Messiah showed up to fulfill the Abrahamic covenant. So that was why they were raping us relentlessly all throughout the Holocaust, jumping down off of their horses, just raping us while we were in the fields. And the pictures do not do justice, sisters and brothers, because we didn't even have any clothes on. They kept us butt naked so that they could have access to our wombs at any moment. And they knew exactly what they were doing. They were carrying out their plan to deceive the Messiah, Joshua, when he shows up to fulfill the Abrahamic covenant and lead us home to our promised land. However, again, they're dealing with us shrewdly. They're not dealing with us wisely. They're dealing with us shrewdly, being deceptive, trying to trick the Messiah. It says that the lamb knows his sheep. He is the good shepherd. The good shepherd knows his sheep, and the sheep knows their shepherd. So it just shows how minuscule and limited their thinking is, because they really thought that they could confuse and deceive the Messiah, and that is not possible. They're dealing with us shrewdly. However, we are wise. Joshua the Messiah, Daniel the prophet, his major attribute in the book of Daniel is wisdom. He didn't ask for, God asked him, what do you want? What, and this is paraphrased, I'm paraphrasing, sisters and brothers. He didn't ask for money and women and all material, worldly things. He asked for wisdom, because with wisdom comes discernment. And as long as you got that discernment, you're going to make the right decision. You'll be exactly where you need to be when you need to be there. So they thought that they could get over on the Messiah. Not understanding that the Messiah is wise. They are shrewd. They are tricksters. Always trying to get over on somebody. You cannot get over on the Messiah, period. So their fallback was in 1948, establishing false Israel. When Elijah Muhammad was on the scene, declaring that the original black man and original black woman right here in North America is the true seed of Abraham. So they countered Elijah Muhammad's claim by putting false Israel over there in Palestine, in Jerusalem in 1948. That's their fallback. And that's crumbling apart as well, because that's another lie. So sisters and brothers, we have to understand that we are in severe danger because of who we are, what we have endured, and our reward that we have for going through that 400 years of enslavement and affliction, for enduring the horror. We're in danger because they want what we have earned. They want to take something from us that belongs to us. However, they will not be successful. For every action, there is an opposite and equal reaction. We've already put that time in. We put that work in. So we have a reward for that. Sisters, you have done. All you have to do is step up and accept your reward. So with that, sisters and brothers, that brings this segment to a close. And I will be back with more. Assalamu alaikum.